The way the Cuse is going, feels like the other team is playing with baseball bats. The latest shellacking, 19-7 against the two-time defending national champion Duke Blue Devils. But now, it's a test of 1 versus 2 as Syracuse travels to South Bend to take on Notre Dame at Arlotta Stadium. We'll take a look at SU's potent offense as well as ND's and also take the Orange to court. Is this team guilty of being too talented? Syracuse looks to move to 8-0 for the first time since 2011. We'll let you know if they can do it right here on Cuse Countdown.
Out to anybody who ever lost someone, or anybody who ever had like a big motivation to do something in life. Man, don't let anybody get in your way. Do what you want to do. I mean, people laugh when I said I was going to be a rapper. Look at me now. JD, get 'em.
Headed to the top seems pretty appropriate with this year's Syracuse lacrosse team. Welcome to Cuse Countdown. We've got Syracuse and Notre Dame on the docket. He's Christian Pedersen. He's Michael Tricarico. I'm Varun Raghupathy. All right, we got to go back to that last game. An absolute throttling. What was going through your mind when Syracuse was up 16-2 over Duke?
I was thinking that's going to be a long bus ride home for Duke. That was going to be a tough night.
I was thinking Syracuse is winning the national title this season.
Well, certainly a lot of fans will be thinking that once they see 16-2 over the two-time defending national champs. Let's recap how Syracuse did the blowout in this week's face-off. So Syracuse has had its troubles with Duke in the past, did beat the Blue Devils in last year's ACC tournament, and a quick start this time. Henry Schoonmaker, a low score. Mike, he's been so good lately.
Schoonmaker really stepping up for the Orange, an experienced Syracuse team this year.
That they are. Dylan Donahue, Kevin Rice, two of the best attackmen in the country, and it's Rice with the finish that time. SU went up 4-0 early in the first quarter.
That's how it's done, Michael. That's how you do a face-off right there.
Right there, Ben Williams, and that's how you shoot as well. How good has he been, Christian?
He's been so much fun to watch. As you said, an absolute pedal-to-the-metal experience watching this offense run against Duke.
That's Dylan Donahue chipping in with his goal. It was 12-1 at that point. 12-1, and then Kevin Rice, insult to injury. Syracuse just kept on going, putting the pedal to the metal. Miles Jones, you just saw him, did nothing in this game. No scores, but Duke did get a goal from Justin Gutterding, the leading scorer. But Syracuse again retaliates. Dylan Donahue finishes it off, and the team celebrates. Well-deserved, an absolute blowout in the Carrier Dome in front of 11,000 plus. Syracuse takes down Duke 19-7. Remember last year in the regular season, the Orange fell to the Blue Devils in Durham 21-7. Pretty much flipped the script on what was then the 4th-ranked team in the nation, now the 6th-ranked team.
Oh, absolutely entertaining victory. It was great shooting, great assists. There was everything was firing on all cylinders for Syracuse tonight.
Let's keep looking at what Syracuse did and how impressive it was. The team had 44 shots. Ben Williams was 14 of 22 from the face-off. What was so impressive to you, Mike?
Ben Williams has just been a game changer, something that Syracuse has not been able to do well the last couple of years. That's the difference this year. It gets that offense possession, gets them on big runs, which is what we've seen from the Syracuse team.
Oh, it was certainly one for the books when Syracuse took down Duke. And now that brings us to one of my favorite segments, Cuse Countdown Courtroom, or
Sustained.
Countdown Courtroom. Sustained.
Sustained.
I don't know my legal jargon too well. I am the Honorable Judge, Roger Puthy residing. Anyway, I don't know how they gave me this job.
Let's get ready for this.
I'll be happy to take it. All right. Let's start. You are the defendant, my friend. You are the prosecutor. I've got 3 charges on the SU docket. We'll see what we got. Ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. First charge. Syracuse is guilty of being too talented. Mr. Tricarico.
Not guilty. It's not, the Syracuse is the most talented team in the country, but most talented doesn't mean too talented. How about the teamwork on this Syracuse team? 60% of the goals are assisted, 4th in the country in assists per game. Most talented team, but doesn't mean too talented.
All right, floor is yours.
May it please the court, Your Honor. My opponent mentions team effort. That's exactly how Syracuse is shooting themselves in the foot. They are showing the whole nation everything that they have in their playbook. They are showing too much talent too soon.
Showing their cards a little too early. All right, I'm going to say that Syracuse is off in this one. Not too talented, just talented enough to be best team in the nation at the moment. The next charge, however, a little more serious. I am going to charge the coaches with negligence for not scheduling a road conference game. With Notre Dame being the first true away game, Syracuse may very well be unprepared. Mr. Tricarico.
Honorable Judge, my client is not guilty in this. A very experienced Syracuse team the last couple of years, 14-5 between road and neutral games. Just because they haven't played one this year doesn't mean that Syracuse isn't experienced on the road. You can't charge the coaches with this. Syracuse, again, over the last 5 years, 32-13 on the road in neutral games. Syracuse not playing on the road this year is no problem.
Mr. Tricarico. Mr. Pedersen.
That is all circumstantial evidence, Your Honor.
Objection! Objection!
Order
John
the
Deska
forces.
is setting this Syracuse team up for a very potentially big pitfall in the middle of the season by not giving them any sort of road challenge early on. This team, we're saying how good this team is. Well, I'd really like to have seen this team out there winning some big road games early in the season.
Well, I'm going to have to go with the prosecutor on this one. I believe Desko should have gotten at
Justice
least
is
one
served.
non-conference road game in there. One each. Now, number 3. I have charged Syracuse with peaking too early.
Oh, man, peaking too early. You can't peak too early. Is Kentucky, for a basketball team, undefeated? Did they peak too
Hang
early?
on, they haven't finished just yet.
Okay. But how about last season? Let's look at last season. Syracuse very strong down the stretch, made it to the ACC championship game, big win against Duke. First round loss to Bryant. All right? Just because Syracuse played well down the stretch last year didn't equal success in the postseason. Syracuse, undefeated now, is clicking on all cylinders and has only improved through the year. The key isn't peaking too early. The key is getting better and improving. That's exactly what Syracuse has been doing.
Mr. Pedersen, do you feel the same?
I do not feel the same. I feel like they are guilty of peaking too early, Your Honor. As I said, they have shown the country what they have, what they're all about. I'm not saying that they're going to fall off the face of the earth and be unranked by the end of the season, but I can't see them holding on to number 1 all year long. I believe by the end of the year, some team out there will have found a solution.
But just because everyone else in the country knows what Syracuse is doing doesn't mean you can stop them.
That's a very good point.
That's why neither of us have law degrees.
Me either. I'm going to have to give this one to the defendant. Syracuse not guilty of peaking too early, just peaking at the right time.
Man,
Next
I'm losing
up,
like Duke.
16-2. Still can't get that one out of my head. A lot more to get to on Cuse Countdown. Syracuse has already defeated the defending national champion Duke Blue Devils, but what about last year's runner-up? That is, of course, Notre Dame. We will get acquainted with the Irish, plus our analysts take a closer look at Syracuse's offense as well as ND's offense to find out what makes both of them so effective. Don't go anywhere. CC back soon.
They're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest.
Williams outscores the King.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Cheers. Take time to be a dad today.
Suffice to say, Bob Wardwell is playing the best lacrosse of his career at Syracuse. Let's go to the ACC championship game last year. Cuse had to beat Duke in an exciting one to get to this point, and then faced ND in the title game. Off the top, Kevin Rice to Nicky Galasso. Nicky Galasso doesn't play that much, or didn't really last year, but he's still one of the best players in the country. That just shows how talented this team is, Christian.
They've got depth at every position, and then they've got depth behind that.
Galasso adds another goal. It's tied at 3, and then off the ground ball, Randy Stotts from Tom Grimm, and Syracuse takes the 4-3 lead in the first. This was a team that was struggling a lot, found its groove in the ACC tournament, looked like it could get it. Kevin Rice, nice little spin from the Tewaaraton nominee, and Syracuse is up 6-3 at this point, but ND would come back. It's a team that lost in the national title game after all. There is Connor Doyle finding Sergio Perkovic 7-7. Going into halftime, moving to the third quarter, Dylan Donahue with a quick stick goal, and Syracuse getting back out in front. Mike, this is such an exciting game at the end.
Very exciting finish. The whole ACC tournament when Syracuse is playing, exciting games.
And here's one of the best Irish players, Matt Cavanaugh, putting it in the net. Notre Dame takes the 9-8 lead early in the third quarter, but that did not last long. Syracuse would come back, and then ND continuing to pull away Cavanaugh once more. It was 14-9 with 12 seconds left in the third. Jack Neer finishes it off, and Syracuse unable to win the ACC championship in its first year in that conference. Cuse made it close, 15-14, but in the end, Christian, the Irish just too much.
Well, they maybe weren't even too much. They were just too much at the wrong time. It was a really neck-and-neck match that showed both teams were really, they deserved to be there.
Certainly.
For Syracuse, Randy Stotts, a player 5 goals on 8 shots. He will not be playing in this Saturday's matchup. Could be a difference maker.
Well, it didn't really matter against Duke. We'll see if it matters this time around when Syracuse takes on Notre Dame. Speaking of this, Notre Dame, Duke, week after week, how do you, as a coaching staff, tell your players to handle this mentally?
Every game's the exact same. That's what I'm telling my players.
You shouldn't have to tell your players to be up for every game. The players are going to want to step up to the challenge.
If you need to prepare your players for a big game, then there's nothing really that can get them ready.
You probably shouldn't be wearing the Syracuse lacrosse uniform. Well, this is another big game. 1 versus 2. Syracuse taking on Notre Dame. Christian, when you think of ND lacrosse, the first name that comes to mind is?
Matt Cavanaugh, the offensive weapon that they possess. This man is the attack. He is a junior, and he has got an absolute nose for the back of the net. He almost set the single-season goals record last year, one of the best statistical offensive seasons Notre Dame had ever seen on the field. He is going to be a very, very big issue with how fast-paced and aggressive of an offense that he runs for Notre Dame.
For me, I have Jack Neer, captain, senior midfielder for this Notre Dame team. One of the top short stick defensive midfielders in the country. 7th overall pick in the 2015 Major League Lacrosse Draft. An honorable mention All-American last season.
Well, I love defense, so I got to introduce Shane Doss, the man guarding it all for Notre Dame. The sophomore goalie didn't see a lot of playing time last year, had to fight for a position this year, but he's a big blocking target. He's at 5'11" on the roster, takes up a lot of the goal. He's been doing a pretty good job for them this year.
Tough to talk Notre Dame lacrosse without the man that really built the Fighting Irish into the lacrosse program that it is today. Kevin Corrigan, 27th season at the helm, second longest tenure among active coaches. Notre Dame hadn't been to an NCAA tournament before Corrigan began coaching. Now 19 tournament appearances for the Fighting Irish, 2 championship appearances, including last season.
Well, it's no question that Notre Dame will be a tough test, but Syracuse has the depth to compete against them. But what really makes this team special is just how talented that depth is. Christian and Mike will take a closer look at a play from SU Duke featuring an attackman making his first career start.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. It is once again time to crack open the video vault and see what goodies we have in store for our fans this week. Let's take a look at some of Syracuse's offense against Duke and what they did really, really well that I saw out there. We're going to see a nice, easy-looking goal here. We'll go ahead and watch it through. looks just like one of the other 100 goals they had that day.
And from one of the Orange's
maybe not
best
so much
players.
though. Let's rewind it, and we're going to get a closer look at just what Tim Barber and Kevin Rice did really well here. We got an off-balance Duke player because of Tim Barber driving the lane, creates a nice open area for Kevin Rice to pick up on, and all that room that he sees there makes it just easy for him to find the back of the net.
Isolate one side of the field, a little 2-on-1 against one defender, and we're going to see a thing that Notre Dame does well in isolating a defender on the fast break. Notre Dame, one of the highest scoring offenses in the country, 9th in the country in scoring offense, and we're going to see how Notre Dame gets on the fast break after causing a turnover. We're going to watch this one through. Notre Dame causes more than 8 turnovers per game, and it leads to this offense. We're going to see right here Connor Doyle catching the pass here. Now let's see what he does. Right here we got a defender isolated. Has to guard 2 guys. You're going to see Doyle fake to, you got the 2 leading goal scorers on Notre Dame. Fake to Matt Kavanaugh and find Mikey Wynn right here. Win 19 goals this season. If you can find your 2 leading goal scorers guarded by just 1 defender, there's no way that Syracuse will be able to guard that. So getting out on the fast break is going to be important for Notre Dame.
Potent and dynamic offensive weapons available for both teams. Should be at least a very high scoring game, if nothing else. That's going to do it for us, though. Varun, how's it looking over in your neck of the woods?
It's looking wonderful. Can't wait to see this game, folks. And still to come, we'll take a look at the other contests going on in this weekend's slate. And, of course, our analysts have their X Factors and predictions for Syracuse Notre Dame. Stick around. CC, back before you know it.
Jimmy can't sing, and Tommy can't dance. So we're gonna put some ants in their pants. Aww.
Kids will spend 22 minutes watching us, the super duper party troopers, sing about ants in their pants.
Isn't that funny? Ants in their pants, they got ants in their pants, they've got ants in their pants.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Boys, call me Ben Williams with that face-off win before the show.
I'm calling a kangaroo court on that face-off.
That was like
kangaroo court on the
15th
face-off.
time, and you finally got
come
it.
on.
Erroneous on all charges.
That's not a Ben Williams face-off win. No.
Nah.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Welcome back to Cuse Countdown, previewing Syracuse and Notre Dame, and that, of course, 1 and 2. But let's look a little bit lower in the rankings. Duke is now at number 6. Should we really take them out of the national title conversation, Christian?
It's too early in the season to discount any team on that list right now.
And Mike, when you look at this list, what team sticks out to you?
I think Albany, the 9th-ranked team in the country, stands out for me. A team that can be very dangerous.
Albany worries
come
me.
Tournament time.
That's the team that Syracuse plays after Notre Dame. We'll see if the Orange can beat the Great Danes for the second time in as many years. We go to the ACC. It is the best conference in college lacrosse. How impressive is it, Mike, that Syracuse has braved the first half of its ACC schedule so well?
It's amazing. Syracuse already playing Duke and Virginia, Notre Dame coming up, and then we'll see North Carolina soon.
It's amazing. Virginia was a 5-seed, Christian, and now they're 0-2 in the ACC.
That's why you play the game. You think the team's great on paper, and then you get them out there and it changes.
Well, we'll see how the rest of the ACC slate shakes out, and all 5 of the ACC teams are in action this weekend. That includes Duke and UNC reviving the rivalries. Christian and Mike have their picks for this week's matchups.
Alongside Christian Pedersen, I'm Michael Tricarico, and we're going to be taking some picks, looking around the nation. Hopefully our lacrosse picks can turn out a little better than those March Madness brackets that we both
I'm still digging out of a hole there.
I had Virginia in my Final Four. Very tough. Either way, we got our first matchup, Richmond at Virginia on the lacrosse field. What do you got in this one?
I have Virginia, baby. Wahoo is what we're going to be saying. Richmond, they lost to Marquette. They lost to UNC. Couple of really poor showings that I don't think they'll be able to overtake the high, potent offense of Virginia.
Yeah, those two losses aren't bad losses, but when you play good teams, you got to have a good showing, not what Richmond had. That's why I'm going with Virginia. The Cavaliers, slow starts against Notre Dame and Syracuse, but Richmond is not up to that par. Richmond is no Notre Dame or Syracuse, and that's why Virginia wins this one.
Well, let's move on to our next matchup. UMass Lowell is going to be heading over to Albany to take on Albany. Who do you have winning?
I have Albany. Tough to go against the top scoring offense in the country, led by none other than Lyle Thompson. Thompson is the leading goal scorer for goals per game in the country. Lyle Thompson and this Albany offense is no match. UMass Lowell 1-7. Albany is going to run over UMass Lowell in this one.
Well, you mentioned 1-7. That's why UMass Lowell is ready for a big win. This is a team that is hungry for an exciting win. Taking on the number 9 team in the nation is just the way to get that done. I see Albany snaking out a victory here.
Wow, that's like a 15-2 in the NCAA tournament.
Hey, I got to take some chances, score some points here.
I guess you never know. That's the beauty of college athletics. Which brings us to our next matchup, Duke-UNC, the battle for North Carolina. This rivalry matchup, who you got?
I have Duke winning it. What we saw here at the Carrier Dome was a Duke team leaving very dejected, but Miles Jones leading that team, I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulders, looking for someone to beat the tar out of, if you will, and who better than the Tar Heels to do it against?
Yeah, certainly Miles Jones, a very good player for Duke. He does have something to prove after that tough showing against Syracuse, but I got to go with North Carolina. One loss on the year, it came to Maryland in their last game. Duke also coming off the tough loss to Syracuse. But North Carolina, the one loss to Maryland, they didn't play awfully in that game. Got off to a bad start, but ultimately North Carolina showed some good things, showed things that they've been doing all year, and I think North Carolina will beat Duke, an inexperienced Duke team so far this year.
We mentioned North Carolina taking on Maryland. That's who we have in our next matchup. We have Michigan heading over to take on the Terrapins. Who do you have winning it?
I have Maryland in this one. The Big Ten, not a conference known for their lacrosse, trying to build it up, but Maryland is really the only top team in that Big Ten. Michigan lost 2 games to Brown, 2 of their 4 games, Brown and Notre Dame. Maryland has the top scoring defense in the country, and defense, as we know, wins championships. May not win Maryland a championship, but it'll win them this game.
Well, I'm going to have to fully agree with you that Maryland is my winner here. You mentioned their 2 losses this season against the only 2 ranked opponents that they've played. And when I see that, I know that I already chose one upset, but losing against ranked opponents really sends a message when you're taking on the number 3 team in the nation. It's going to be an uphill battle for Michigan to get the win, so I'm going to say Maryland.
And both those games against the ranked teams weren't even close.
Exactly.
Maryland will have no challenge with Michigan. So we'll see if
we'll
these picks, hopefully these picks turn out better than our brackets. I think it's safe to say most people's brackets are pretty blown up. But we'll see how our picks do. And once again, for Christian Pedersen, Michael Tricarico, let's send it back to Varun.
Yeah, Mike, my bracket was all right until UNC. But home stretch for Syracuse Notre Dame. We've got X factors and predictions for the matchup. Can the Orange stay unbeaten in possibly its toughest game of the year? Find out next on Cuse Countdown. Welcome back to Cuse Countdown. Syracuse, Notre Dame wrapping things up. But before we do, got to mention that you can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and check out all of our content on our YouTube page. That again, youtube.com/Citrus TV. All right, now we're going to get to one of my favorite segments, the Fast Break. All right, Christian and Mike, I'm going to give you 3 statements. If you like it, you can finish it. If you dislike, feed it off. Ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, first statement for Syracuse and Notre Dame. I say that Timmy Barber, in his second career start, gets 3 points.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to feed this one. Notre Dame is going to prevent just too many different looks. Syracuse is going to have to dig a little bit deeper than Timmy Barber going crazy.
I'm going to feed this one. A lot of faith in Timmy Barber, the National Junior College Offensive Player of the Year.
Finish it.
I'm going to finish it. I'm going to finish this one. I apologize. Finish it. A lot of faith in Timmy Barber. At least 1 point over the last 4 games. 2 against Duke. And I think Notre Dame's really going to key on the Kevin Rice, Dylan Donahue. Going to open up opportunities for Tim Barber, and he is going to get at least 3 points.
The OCC transfer, filling in for the OCC transfer, of course, Randy Stott's out for the second straight week, lower body injury. Okay, second statement. This is a little bit more out there, but we'll see what you guys think. Ben Williams, the Fogo, outscores Hakeem Leckie, the midfielder.
I have to feed this one. Ben Williams, only 1 goal in the last 5 games, only 3 all year. Hakeem Leckie, 8 goals scored. Ben Williams just doesn't have the opportunities. He's really great at faceoffs, but as far as opportunities go, Hakeem Leckie scored in 6 of 7 games. Ben Williams only has 3 goals. Hakeem Leckie will outscore Ben Williams.
Christian, you got the faith?
I'm going to have to feed this one as well. Ben Williams, to make an analogy, he is a middle reliever on steroids because he serves a very specific role, but he does not get the starring role. He just is not going to have the shots on goal to make this happen.
All right, let's jump right into X factors. What sticks out in this Syracuse-Notre Dame matchup, Christian?
My X factor is Syracuse is going to have to control possession. We talked a lot about Matt Cavanaugh and the speed and really high tempo of this Notre Dame offense. And to avoid unsettled situations, Syracuse is going to have to really focus on controlling the pace of the game by controlling possession of the ball.
Mike?
My X factor is Tim Barber. Barber, 5 goals and 3 assists this year. Again, the 1 goal, 1 assist against Duke. Barber had 91 points at OCC. We mentioned he was a transfer. Randy Stott's 15 goals, 11 assists. That has to be made up for. Tim Barber can have that production. He's done it before in college at the top national junior college program in the country at OCC, and he can now do it at the top Division I program in the country at Syracuse.
Well, the rankings say that SU certainly is number 1, Notre Dame number 2. So who wins this matchup of 1 versus 2, Mike?
Make it 8-0 for the Orange. Syracuse wins 15-9. 3rd in the nation in scoring offense, number 1 in the nation in margin of victory. Syracuse will win 15-9, a 6-goal win for the Orange against the Fighting Irish.
I'm going to say 11-3 Syracuse. They are going to keep the pedal to the metal, and a little bad blood's going to spill over from last year's ACC championship.
Well, we might have a budding rivalry on our hands. 2 former Big East teams meeting in the ACC. Again, follow us on Twitter at Citrus TV Sports for our coverage and enjoy the game. He's Christian, he's Mike, I'm Varun. Take care, folks.